For people who want to know what is the Keith Andrew Network, the whole point of my talk show is to show you that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities to never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be, so prove them. Stand out to something. Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching the one and only Keith Andrew Network. Don't adjust those knobs. You're watching the one and only Keith Andrew Network, available on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and all social medias. For people who want to know what is my talk show, well, you heard it in the introduction, but for the hell of it, I will say it again. The whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something, and at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities. Never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. Prove to them, stand out to something. It doesn't matter if I'm on TV, or on stage, or on Zoom. Today we have a very special guest. She is an entertainer, upcoming professional actress, Jill of all trades, you would say. And we're going to hear from her when we come back from this commercial break. Stay tuned.
Hello, my name is Lizette Santiago, and I am gearing up to do my interview with Keith Andrew on the Keith Andrew Network show. I'm excited about it. I love to talk about my goals and also what brought me to my career, and to share it with people, and especially on his show where it deals with ailments and special disabilities. And, you know, it's a show that's going to help people. And so I loved and am going to love to be part of this already, I can tell. So I'm looking forward to it. Check it out. And again, my name is Lizette Santiago, and I cannot wait to be interviewed by the one and only Keith Andrew, and also that you all see it soon.
Hey, so the first question I want to ask you, that is right, the first question I want to ask you is tell our audience what attracted you to start your career in the entertainment world, and a little bit about yourself.
Well, that's a good question, but I have an answer for you. I started the business, the entertainment industry, being a part of the entertainment industry when I was a very young child, 3 years old, I believe. My mom wanted to be an actress, so she was a stage mom. And when she had me, she always wanted a girl. I have two older brothers. And so when she had me, she was, you know, finally I had my little girl, because she tried to put my brothers into the entertainment business. And though one of my brothers was a DJ and a dancer, a professional dancer, he wasn't into acting. So she tried with me. And luckily for her, I ended up loving it. So because of that, at 3 years old, she put me in my first commercial class. And then she started putting me in beauty pageants. And then from that point on, the rest was history. And I loved it. I love to perform. I love to be on stage. I'm from New York City originally. I was born and raised in Manhattan. So of course, and now I live in California. So I grew up in a city where it's just kind of like LA, because that's where I'm from, Los Angeles, where it's all around you. The entertainment business is everywhere in New York City, especially Broadway and theater and stage. So that's where I started, on the stage. And like I said, though, I took commercial classes at a very young age. And then I went on to do beauty pageants. So because I was around the business and the industry, it was pretty easy to be wrapped around it. And my mom, for fun, would take me to see plays, and we'd go see a lot of Broadway shows. To this day, every time I go visit New York City, I always tend to go see a musical, just because that's something I loved. I do musicals too. And that's basically it. So it was mommy dear that originally got me into the business, but I found my own way because I did enjoy doing it myself. I had a passion for it. Did. She lucked out. Lucked out with me. And yeah, and you know, I that's why she supports, well, my whole family supports what I do. but every now and then you get, like, you haven't made it yet kind of thing, so that's always been part of it. But I will say, even though they tease me a little bit, my family is very proud of the things that I've done, and they see that I'm still, giving it my all, and that I'm doing a lot of things in my career. So they're 100% my biggest fans and supporters. So it's hard to have that in this business, and I'm blessed that I do. So
No, you're absolutely right. When I first started my talk show, what my parents, say, my mom's like, if it makes you happy, do it. My dad said, if it makes you happy, but it's just a hobby. Of course,
no,
my sister, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said, if it makes you happy, do it. If it doesn't make you happy, don't do it too.
Absolutely. And my sister and my brother, they make jokes about it. But I think after almost 9 years, they're starting to come around. It's sort of hopefully, they're starting to be a little more supportive. But at the same time, my dad's like, "Oh, it's still a hobby. You're not making money out of it." But this is my way of showing you, with a disability, look at what I'm able to accomplish. But I don't want to go into much of my backstory. We heard that for all 900 plus episodes. But the question I want to ask you is, who is your biggest supporter?
Whoa, that's a good one. Well, honestly, my biggest supporter have been my mom and my dad. I got to say, they're 100%. They were my God and my goddesses, as I call them sometimes. They were my strongest supporters because my mom and my parents are always, willing to help me out with things. And, they paid for most of my acting stuff when I was a kid and as an adult sometimes too. They would always say, "What do you want for your birthday?" And I said, "Acting classes or something." And I always ask for gifts relating to my career because that's the way to get, to get help along the way, and everybody can contribute. So they're my strongest supporters, my mom and my dad first. And then after that, I would probably say my grandma, who unfortunately passed away when I was 9, but she was my biggest supporter. Strong. She was my not just of my career as an actor, that too, but also of me as a person. And that to me meant a lot because she believed in me no matter what I did. And that is true love. And I love her for that. And, she's in the heavens. I loved her so much. And unfortunately, she died of lung cancer. And like I said, when I was a very young child, and that was my first time experiencing death, having lost someone that close to me, that supportive of me, who believed in me first. I think she was the first person to really believe in me before I started to believe in myself. And that meant a lot. And she wanted to be a professional singer. I like to sing, and I sometimes wonder, I'm like, where did this come from? Because I know acting is my true passion, but I can still sing. I've been trained to sing, and not my biggest strength, but I still enjoy doing it. But I'm like, where does it come from? And I think it came from my grandma, who was always singing all the time. So those are and my brothers they've been that brother that even though they pick on me, they took me to my acting auditions when I was a kid. My brother choreographed my performances, my talent portion of my performances when I did beauty pageants. So it was like my oldest brother gave me my first book to read, and it was like Judy Blume, and it made me really open my imagination because I was an actor and I love to create stories and imagine things. He introduced me to this book that just made me realize it's okay to open your creativity and your mind. And he opened me up to reading, and I've been reading ever since. And I love to read about acting and self-help books and everything that's positive for your life. So I thank him for that too.
No, absolutely. Unfortunately, I never had that, but I do listen to motivational speeches, so that does motivate me.
That's good too. Yeah. I mean, I struggled. I heard you in the opening, promo that you struggle with disabilities and stuff. And when I was growing up, I was struggling with reading as a young child. I really struggled with reading a lot. I was failing in school, kindergarten, not kindergarten, first grade, second grade. Wasn't doing great. And my mom was a teacher. So that for her was hard to accept that her own kid was failing. But it was just, I had a bit of a reading challenge. I was having a hard time reading and seeing words and stuff. And I wasn't, I didn't have any, ailments for that, it was just for some reason I had a hard time absorbing things. So when my brother bought me this book, he knew that, and he was trying to help me to fall in love with reading so I can change that. And it actually helped. It did help a lot. And I don't even think it was the book. I mean, the book was great, but I think it was the fact that my brother got me the book to help me be a better person and to see reading as fun and not as work. And that's what I think the problem is sometimes. We have to show our kids that, make it fun for them when they learn. And I didn't enjoy it because it was always like, you got to learn, in school, they teach you this, and they don't understand that not everybody's going to absorb materials as the person next to them. You have to approach everything kind of differently with each person. And I think that was what happened with me too.
Well, two things you did mention. One, if you make it educational and you make it entertaining and more fun, it sinks in more. If you just say, here's a book, read it, you're gonna be like, flat faced and be like, oh. But
Exactly.
if you do stuff that is not as entertaining, then it's going to sink in more.
Hmm. Absolutely. And that's why it's so good. Like when I was growing up, I was blessed, like when I got into elementary school, that there was a lot of extracurricular activities for kids, like drama classes, drama school plays. We had talent showcases and all that stuff. And I think that's so important for the kids these days, because when you have all these extracurricular activities, like some people like to cook, some people like to sew, and if you give kids other options, they'll want to go to school, or they want to do that because they're looking forward to those classes and doing those extracurricular activities. But if it's just math and science, granted, those things are great too. We need them. History too. That's really important. But it's more important to balance your checkbook. It's more important to, know how to finances, knowing how to cook, make your bed, organizing things, doing your taxes. They need to teach that to kids these days, life things, not just, the boring old things that we deal with all the time. I mean, I don't remember the last time I used algebra, to be honest with you. So I think cooking is more needed in schools, learning how to cook and do your taxes than any of the other stuff that we end up having.
No, you're absolutely right. When you're in high school, who cares about Mice and Men or Helen Keller? How about you teach people how to balance a checkbook, how to mail a letter, how you are going to survive once you're on your own. You're here for 4 years, and during those 4 years, you need, a kick in the ass or a smack upside the head saying, here's a reality check for you. Your parents will all, and it's unfortunate because I do think about it, your parents won't always be there to clean up your messes. You need to stand on your own 2 feet. So I'll give you an example. There's a class called Team Life Skills, and yeah, it's nice, it teaches you how to cook and all that. But couldn't you teach me how to do my taxes? How do I keep keep the government happy? How do you keep down a job? There's so many different real life scenarios. It's funny because 16 years ago, I'm just dating myself. My teacher used to say, Keith, you won't have this calculator. What you gotta do, Keith? Go in the grocery store and pull out this calculator? Actually, yeah, I can do that now. But 16 years ago, we didn't have a smartphone. But now you have a smartphone, you have a watch. So there's things, and there's actually one technology that may be good. No, it's good for me, but it might be good for you. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like a black device, and you scan the book, and it reads it for you.
Oh, wow. That's incredible. Holy
So
cow.
it's for people who are dyslexic and can't read. In my case, it reads it for you. Or you can
Wow.
always have your phone to have text to speech, just highlight it, copy and paste, whatever. But the point is, technology came a long way 16 years ago, but it's true.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like honestly, when I was in high school, I don't know if you know this, but I was actually featured in National Geographic magazine when I was a kid because my school was a little bit more advanced. It was like like a advanced science and math school where we were kind of smarter kids. But we decided my kids in my class hated the fact that they would kill frogs so that we can, see their organs and teach us that and all that stuff. So we're like, what can we do to help this situation? So a couple of us got together, we talked about it and said, we have computers, we have this. Why don't we learn how to, and our teachers helped us, but we came up with the idea, us kids, little whizzes, we came up with the idea of dissecting a frog digitally.
Yeah.
And we were the first class to do that in like the history that in that time, we were the first group of kids to come up with this idea of digitally dissecting a frog in our science class instead of killing the frogs. And this was such an amazing thing in my school, at my time, that now I'm dating myself, but we were, and National Geographic came, we had a science fair, and we I presented the idea with another kid of mine. We both were the brains behind it, but we presented it. It was a group of us, and we were the ones who represented this project, and people found that miraculous. And we were cruelty-free kind of kids at that time too. We didn't want to see animals die all the time.
Yeah.
So this digital way of dissecting a frog, to me, I thought that was miraculous. And that's why I was so gun-ho about telling people about this. And National Geographic happened to be at that science fair, and they found our project to be amazing. And so they asked us questions about it. And then like a couple of years later, they actually featured in their magazine back then. So it was a wonderful experience. And I learned that they put me in their magazine when I was in junior high school. That's to show you how much they still thought of that project. So
I remember the time I had to dissect I had to dissect a pig, and those things freaking reeked. It was so freaking nauseating. And then it's like, oh well, go down to class down the hall. They're doing kiddits. Absolutely not. Hell no.
The smell is awful.
You want me to dissect a cat? I would jump out the nearest window. Never.
Oh, no, I would never. I love cats. No, I love all animals. I'm vegan, and I'm not to say, judge people who eat meat or anything like that. I'm not like that. But for my own personal health issues, and just because I've been a vegetarian for like 20-something years, I just became vegan about 2 years ago. And I'm into all these cruelty-free products. I don't see a need to kill an animal or to, do laboratory tests on animals if we just go cruelty free, no experimenting. People will buy those products more. And then there's less of a chance of an animal dying for a new product line, And I'm starting a show soon too. I'm hoping to launch in the next couple of months, called The Zoo Girl, where I am going to, do a lot of animal stuff, but, educate people on animals in the world and what's extinct, but also on products that we can use in our household and things that we can eat that taste good, don't taste disgusting, but also that work well and are all cruelty vegan products, because I think that's where we're all headed anyway. And it'll make us all better people too.
You're right. They did, wasn't there, they did, I think it was Burger King or something, McDonald's, or they recently did the plant burger.
Yeah, the veggie vegan burger, Beyond Burger is a really good one. I'm not an Impossible person. I don't like Impossible burgers because for me, it's impossible to hold it down for some reason. Something in the ingredients. I have a lot of food allergies, and something in the ingredients doesn't sit with me. But a lot of people I know who are meat eaters like the Impossible burgers because it kind of tastes like regular meat to them. And I think for me, that's why I don't like it, because I just don't like that meat taste, period. So, and I just can't digest it. But I know a lot of people who love it. And I think Burger King, I know Burger King has that. And I think McDonald's is trying to bring it back. They used to have an amazing veggie burger at one point. They were the first ones to actually have it. And then, I don't know, they just have no options for vegans right now. It's kind of sad, or vegetarians really, but hopefully that'll change because they're McDonald's.
It's funny you mentioned McDonald's. If anyone wants to see an interesting movie, go look on, I think, Netflix or Hulu. Look up The Founder.
Of McDonald's. Yes, there's a movie. Oh God, what's the name of it?
I think it was The Founder.
The Founders, yeah, Michael Keaton. That's a great, great movie. Wow, I didn't know. And it's funny too, because you said when we were talking about what to have in high school and stuff, Helen Keller. I mean, those stories are great too. I'm not saying let's not get rid of them, because I learned a lot. I went to an Anne Frank exhibit one day, and I loved that story when I was in high school. So I'm not saying like get rid of all that stuff. That's important too, especially history to me is probably the most important subject we can teach our kids in schools, because it's just necessary. That stuff not going to go away. It's history. That's what it's history.
No,
but
absolutely.
The math and science, maybe physics and chemistry. Algebra, I just don't understand where we really use that, but hey, it's good to know, I guess. But I'm saying in addition to those things, we need to add more things to the curriculum and let kids decide what they want to be. If I didn't have my drama club, or my mom didn't take me to extracurricular activities outside of my educational schools, I probably wouldn't be an actress, because I wouldn't know that that was an opportunity for me. So I think we need to present opportunities for our kids, that you could be a cook, you could be a professional cook, you could be a producer, you can be an actor, you can be all these things you want to be, fireman, or all these things you want to be. But here's this. Try what you like and test the waters.
Let me ask you this. Does your son or daughter want to follow in your footsteps?
That's a very points to you for that one, Keith. Because if I do, and I've had this discussion with many people, if I had a daughter or son and they came up to me and they said, Mom, I want to be an actor, I probably would answer them, are you sure? But then after that, I would say, listen, it's not an easy career. You're going to have a lot of ups and downs. But then again, everything in life, you have ups and downs. Nothing's perfect. I just want to make sure you're doing it because of you and not because of me. I want to make sure it's your choice, because if you want to do that, I will help you. So just make sure you want to do it for you. And if they tell me, yeah, I want to do it for me, then let's do it. Hey, yay, welcome to the club. But I really hope my kids want to be Olympic champions, because I also wanted to be in the Olympics. So I'm hoping they're good in sports too. So
No, absolutely. I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but the one thing I do want to plug first, if you want to add to your calendar, June 10th at 8 p.m. Eastern is my 9-year anniversary. I would love to have you a part of that. And I know
awesome.
go
June
ahead.
1st?
Oh,
June 1st?
No, June 10th.
June 10th. Look at that. I already forgot the date. Yeah, I'm going to put it down right now so I don't forget it. June 10th. Got it. I have a day planner. So.
It's funny. I used to write in books, but now I put everything on my phone, because I bring the phone everywhere. You don't bring the book everywhere.
That's true. That is true. That's the dilemma. Digital or written. For me, I like to write it down. Like I like to see all my callbacks and auditions and, see like if I'm booking good, like I like to just see it on paper. But like tonight I'm going to an event, and if someone wants to hook up or have a meeting or something, I honestly don't have my day plan. I'm not going to drag my day planner, my little clutch, so you have your phone. So I also have a digital calendar too, and I could just put that in there while I'm at whatever event, and then transfer it to my day planner or look at both. I always look at both, but it's hard. It's hard to have. Yeah, you can't bring it everywhere with you. So I agree with you. Digital is always good to have, no matter what. But I still like the old-fashioned writing it down too. So
no, absolutely.
That's
No, I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but I want to ask you the last two. What is coming up on the horizon for you, and how can our fans and listeners get in touch with you?
Okay, so I'm going to start with how everyone can get in touch with me first. I am on Instagram, and it's at All About Lizette Santiago. That's my Instagram, at All About Lizette Santiago. And I am also on Facebook as myself, Lizette Santiago, so you can look me up. Everything I think pretty much is just Lizette Santiago, Twitter and all that. I really don't tweet too much, but I am constantly on Instagram, and anything I'm working on lately, I will put on Instagram. I got a lot of projects coming up right now, mostly over the summer. I told you I was starting that show, The Zoo Girl, so that's my next adventure. I'm hosting an event next week. It's more of a private event, but that information will all be on my Instagram. And I probably will be shooting a movie end of the summer, October, and I can't talk about that yet, but we're in the process, but it will be a feature film. I just got offered another project today, another short film, so I may be doing that, and 3 other projects coming up in the making, and I have a huge audition coming up that I'm preparing for. So a lot of stuff in the working, and I'm going to shoot my own project for the first time in September, a horror movie. So I'm looking forward to doing my own project finally.
No, absolutely. And my last question for you is, when I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what made you say yes? How do you feel now? Would you recommend it to other people?
When you first asked me, first of all, when someone finds me, I'm like, uh-oh, who's this? You know, as a girl, you got to be careful in the business. But after seeing, I always do my research for any actors out there or aspiring artists. Whenever you get anybody interested, always research them, IMDb, their YouTube channels, Instagram, social media, that all helps you. And so I did that. And I was like, and I saw some of your interviews with other actors, and I'm like, oh, okay. And I also am very fond of people who go through ailments, who are fighting something or dealt with something and did not let them hold them back. They did not let that hold them back. So I admire you for that. And I was like, okay, I would like to be part of that for sure. I love to give back. I love talking, so that's that's always helpful. And I'm a person who I just love to get to know people, and I love to give back. And as an actor, I wish there was more of these interviews, because when I was growing up, I would love to watch documentaries on, like, you know, like Al Pacino, Meryl Streep, how they did it, how they got to where they went, because that stuff helps aspiring actors who are younger than me or even older than me, or even people who are my age. When you hear another actor tell their story, their journey on how they got to where they got, it's so inspiring, because what I've learned is it's never the same way. It's never, you know, sometimes it's luck. Sometimes it's you went to a really good school like Juilliard or NYU or Yale. And sometimes you, like me, you start in the business and that's where you kind of ended up, and you just never know. And I wanted to quit the business many a times because I didn't know if I was doing it for myself or for my mom, you know, but I realized it was for me, and I made that choice, and I'm not going back. And I hope anyone who's aspiring to do that will do the same. You know, do what you're truly passionate about. Don't let your ailments get in the way. I suffer from chronic asthma, and I had a lot of physical stuff going on in my life, and I didn't let that, you know, stop me. I was hospitalized many a times. I got pneumonia. I mean, severe things that could have cost me my life, but I pushed through, and the higher powers were there with me. So my advice is always to keep going. And the reason why I decided to really do this was because of that, to show that whenever I get an opportunity to talk about what helped me, I hope it helps viewers on your show to help them too. That's my purpose.
No, absolutely. Now stay tuned up for Off the Air. I do have a couple questions for you. But for our fans and listeners, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to hit that like button, like, share, comment, subscribe. This will also be played on Twitter and LinkedIn. We also have a LinkedIn fan page, so if you're on LinkedIn, go to the official KeithAndrewNetWork fan page. So this will be on LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and of course, Facebook. #KeithAndrewNetwork. But like I said, wrapping up our talk show, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest. I'm looking forward to part 2, and until we meet again, catch you later. Thank you, and have a good night.